The first time that I actually came to the United States Air Force Museum was before I had ever flown a drone. I went with my dad. It was just me and him, and we went to the museum. I think we had like 15 minutes to do as much as we could in the museum because it was going to close that day. We just happened to be driving through, and I remember absolutely being floored by the awesome stuff that's in there. And this was before I ever flew anything of my own. I remember being so inspired and seeing, especially for me, seeing the rockets and seeing all just how immense those things are was eye-opening for me. So fast forward like 10 years, I've now kicked off this career of professional drone racing, and I get invited to come compete in a micro drone race inside of the United States Air Force Museum. This event hosted by a guy called Kelly is just kind of this crazy little idea to just host a drone race flying inside and through the Korean War gallery and flying through those historic planes, like real actual planes that were in combat. It's unbelievable. We were actually like going inside of them and around them and over them. Like that kind of stuff is, you don't get opportunities like that. And so to have the opportunity to fly in such a unique and awe-inspiring place is definitely an opportunity of a lifetime. The most important thing to me as being part of the drone racing community is just that, the community, having people come together to compete on any given level or to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves and meet other people and hang out with other people. I mean, especially in COVID times, it's very, very nice to have an opportunity, like people that you can rely on and lean on and know. And so that's what I like to be a part of it. So along with that comes education. So having people come through the exhibit while we're hosting a real drone race and being able to inform them, let them ask questions about the little drones that we've got and compete with my friends and new friends is is exactly where I want to be. No matter what I'm doing, that's the kind of thing that I want to be a part of. And so what more of an opportunity for the people's passion for aviation, whether focused on drone racing or manned aircraft, bringing people together to share a passion and to develop relationships that supersede race and gender and age and anything else that you could possibly think of. That's what being part of the aviation community, whether small or big, is all about. So before we got to racing, I actually, even before I got to the museum, I asked a couple of my friends, including Kelly, hey, should I bring my Cinewhoop? It's my tiny little drone that carries a GoPro, and I use it to just film videos. So I'd use it on a professional level with, different commercials and movies, all the way down to just like having fun. And I got like 4 or 5 messages from different people. They said, absolutely don't do that. They will not let it happen. The museum is going to be very strict about making sure that everybody flies in only the designated area. I'm like, okay, I brought it anyway. This place is absolutely incredible. I mean, we have, it's the coolest place to fly, right? You're amongst aviation history. And then, having a chance to provide some cool footage back to you guys is like that's what I love to do. So I'm just like a kid in a candy shop right now.
That's awesome. Well, have fun flying, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's awesome.
There's always a little way to kind of maybe sweet talk to kind of be like, this is what this thing can do. This is why it's safe. This is why we want to do these things. And exactly that happened. So we weren't initially allowed to fly in the museum, but we kind of started sweet talking. We kind of asked like, hey, we got these cool drones. We can get this really unique perspective. We'd love the opportunity to capture this footage and pass it along to you. If that's not something you're comfortable with, by all means, tell us no. But like, let us show you what these things can do. And we kind of showed them these drones. They got little prop guards. They're relatively safe. They're really small and lightweight, so they can't cause a lot of damage. And before you know it, they say, yep, absolutely, let's do it. And we kind of walk to the back of the exhibit, which is the presidential area and the future planes, and they say, all right, go for it. And I'm like, just like that? What? Well, I'm in a filming background, so I kind of think about insurance and what happens if something goes wrong. Like, you plan for the worst so that you know what to expect. And so I kind of asked the question, I'm like, so what happens if I hit one of these things? I mean, that is the actual Apollo 15 capsule. Like, if like that's a priceless artifact at this point. And what happens if I hit any of these planes or anything like that? And Denise turns to me from the museum and says, I mean, these are warplanes. Like, you can't hurt them with your toy drone. I'm like, all right, that does it for me. And I took off, flew this awesome flight, orbiting around the moon, man, hanging in there. I remember especially flying over the XB-70 and just realizing how absolutely massive this thing is. I always forget just how absurdly giant these planes are. You lose scale of it when you're just a passenger jumping on a 737 or a 747, which are big planes in themselves. But when you can stand at the wheels and look up at it like, oh my gosh, let alone be flying around it in a tiny little drone and showcasing this place from a new perspective. So being able to fly an aircraft amongst a bunch of aircraft that are iconic, just beautiful representations of their time and the future time and what humans have achieved together as a species, to me was a very meaningful moment. It's this opportunity to take what I love and combine it with what so many other people love, and create hopefully seen as a piece of art to show off all of the awesome stuff that is available at the United States Air Force Museum. So on my first visit to the Air Force Museum, I was limited on time and opportunity to fly in different exhibits because it was open for public consumption, right? This is pre COVID time, so there were actually people around. And so I came back many months later, after everything kind of had been shut down, and we were kind of planning on doing some footage for a grand reopening. It's obviously important to have people in and amongst the exhibits, taking in the awesome opportunity that they have to see all these things. And so we wanted to kind of pull together some footage to create a way to promote that everything's coming back together. And we basically went through each exhibit and flew in each one. And one of the most memorable ones for me was flying in the World War II exhibit. The Memphis Belle in the background, the B-24 in the middle, and flying around the B-29 that it dropped the bomb over Nagasaki is a little bit rough to think about. Also, is historically very important and something to be remembered and something to think about. And so kind of seeing something that in flying around these planes that are especially meaningful to, for example, my parents and my father-in-law, who talks, I showed him the video, and we connected in a way that we've never connected before, because I'm what something that I care about so much is crossing into something that he cares about so much, that we have the ability to kind of sync up and talk about our experiences in a new way. So while flying through the exhibit, and the process of doing that was really exciting and really fun. More so have the memories since then created opportunities for me to connect with people in a new way. And for that reason, I couldn't be more proud and grateful for the opportunity from the Air Force Museum to be there flying and filming and having fun. You can only see it in so many ways from the ground, right? So being up close and personal and flying through and around, and maybe even having the chance to imagine what it could have looked like from inside or next to the plane, it gives you a new perspective on something that we, I guess, probably as a species will never get to experience again. That being said, maybe we could get some of these old planes up in the air again, but at the same time, it's probably a little bit easier and a little cheaper and a little safer to just zip around them with a drone. I'm very grateful to be included in anything with the United States Air Force, with the United States Air Force Museum, aim high. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that it has created. And if you want to see more of the footage that I have shot in the way that I pictured it, feel free to check me out on YouTube. It's NurkFPV. But in the meantime, enjoy everything that these guys are putting out. They're doing awesome work, and stay flying.
Can you come close to my camera? Can you come close to my camera?
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Just did you appreciate it?
That's sweet.
Holy crap.
You getting sick yet, Brian?
Yeah, I'm like the whole blown eardrum probably did not help with this.